Welcome to Vol State Presents, where we explore the arts and entertainment scene in Middle Tennessee. I'm Tucker Perry. We're off to House of Blues Studios in Nashville, where artists as diverse as Trace Atkins, Three Doors Down, Kid Rock, and Avril Lavigne have recorded. A lot more goes into recording a hit record than you might think, and the recording engineer plays a key role. Studio manager and recording engineer Mike Paragoni explains how the position has evolved and what it takes to be a success.
A traditional definition of a recording engineer would be the guy that pushes the buttons and turns the knobs and makes sure that everything is technically right. In modern times, the recording engineer has a lot more creative input than he used to. There's three main parts to making a record: tracking, overdubs, and mixing. Now this is everything that I do contained in my building here. Before they actually step in the door to do tracking, there's pre-production where they arrange the songs, they figure out what parts they want to play, they figure out what the order of the verse and the chorus and how the lyrics line up, and all that stuff is done before they even step in the door. They set foot in my door, we start tracking. Back years ago, you would track everything, By the time they finished the tracking day, everything would be recorded. In modern times, they record probably drums, bass, guitar, maybe piano. Tracking day finishes, then you step into overdub land. Overdubs are just laying over those tracks you've already recorded, more material, or replacing parts that weren't good enough on the tracking day. Overdubs are finished, and you go into mixing. And mixing basically is taking all the pre-recorded tracks that are individually laid out. All those sounds need to be blended together, and that's where an engineer gets creative. That's where the technical hat comes off and you get to be a little creative. Do I want these guitars to be louder in the verse or in the chorus? Or do I want that piano lick to stick out or not? Verse guitars. Because of technology evolution, nobody makes decisions till that very last part of the project, which is mixing. So lots of times we'll come in for a mixing session, we open up the session, and it's a mess. There's 130 tracks. There's 4 guitar solos. There's, all different vocal performances because they use this mic on this one, and this mic on this one, and this mic on this one. They haven't decided which one they like yet. So that decision isn't made until the very, 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 very end. And whereas before, because of technology, because you had track limitations, you had to make those decisions. I only have 16 tracks to record to. I gotta get the vocal right now. And now it's, well, let's just leave it for mixing. I think that the educational process for a recording engineer is extremely important. Number one, because it brings you up to speed with everything that's going on technically. I mean, you need to know what the latest version of Pro Tools is. You need to know how to operate Pro Tools and how to operate all this gear. That's a necessity. You can't be a recording engineer without that. I think educational routes are great because it allows you to make mistakes. And I made plenty of mistakes, but it's fine. It's education, and it's okay to make those mistakes in that time. Once you get out into the real world, you can't make mistakes. And bad engineers' names spread like wildfire, and you'll be quickly deemed the guy that made that mistake, and you're quickly pushed to the wayside. And I've seen it happen, and it's really that cutthroat. It's really that black and white. It's funny how when I get applicants from schools to be interns, they think because they have this sheet of paper that says I'm Pro Tools certified, or I've been working on this console and I know all these things, all that is important, but it's not as important as who you are as a person and how you can communicate your ideas and how you can communicate with your client. Literally, I spend 12 hours a day in this room with a client. The client sits here, I sit there, I cater to their needs for 12 hours a day, sometimes for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And if you're not a good person, if you can't communicate, if you don't have something to say, it's a horrible experience for them, and they're never going to want to work with you again. There can be some tense moments in the studio. You need to know how to break the ice. There can be some uncomfortable moments in the studio where, say, an artist can't get a part right. You have to be able to coax them through that. If they're not comfortable enough with you for you to have that conversation with them, it's not going to happen.
For more of Vol State Presents, log on to our website, volstate.edu/volstatepresents.